Welcome to Business Over Brew. Nick Dar here with you. Another episode here. Pleased to be joined by Melissa Bland from Honeybee Vintage. Melissa, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
For having me.
Tell us just a little bit to start with. Talk a little bit about the store and what it's like, where it's at, things like that.
Sure. Honeybee Vintage is located at 114 East Broadway, just downtown Alton. And we are kind of a mix of antiques and vintage at the heart, but also upscale resale. So it's meant to be a treasure hunt and some good deals to be had in there. Some new giftable things as well, gourmet foods. And if somebody needs a birthday gift or especially as we approach the Christmas season, there's lots to be had that would be new. Also, we have a boutique, which is our children's resale area, and a specialty in vintage clothing up in our loft. There's about 20 vendors in the same marketplace. So there's a real mix, lots to see in there. We have a newly renovated space downtown. So it's quite a charming backdrop for us, and grateful to be in that location.
Well, tell us about the journey to, how you got to this point of being an entrepreneur.
Right. Well, it really wasn't on my radar screen at all. We moved to Alton 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. My husband retired from the Air Force out of Scott and moved up here when we relocated to the area because we fell in love with an old house here in town. Knew not a soul when we moved to Alton.
So you weren't from here?
No.
History?
Yeah, total transplant. Yeah. Just loved the house. And then it, of course, did not take long to fall in love with the city as well. I feel Alton is just a city you want to root for.
Right.
At the time that we moved and today as well, it's kind of a mixed bag downtown. We really weren't sure if the town was dying or growing. And so for me, it's a thrill in just 6 years to be part of that, just one more little piece in that renovation and renaissance that Alton is experiencing. So once we moved here, I'd been a stay-at-home mom for 25 years now. And my little one is just turned 8. So with her in school, I thought, there's no great time to open a business, but we could do it, I think. It was sort of a stepped out in faith in that. And started to, I got my first space at Country Meadows downtown, and then grew to 2 antique spaces there. Also branched out to the Alton Exchange and had 5 spaces there.
Okay.
And then at some point, somebody said to me, for all of that you're paying, you could have your own shop. And it got the wheels turning, got connected with Sarah with Alton Main Street, and started to get feelers out for commercial space. I knew I wanted to be downtown because part of the satisfaction for me is, again, to be a piece in making Alton better.
Right.
And so was fortunate to connect with the Lewis family, Caleb and Marlene and Dale, who in the last year bought the old Caravan resale building, renovated that in 6 months. And then we just connected at the right time. I was able to establish as their new tenant and got a front seat to that whole renovation process.
Right.
And moved in about 5 months ago and set up shop, got everything under one roof, and then started to really curate not only merchandise, but the different vendors within the marketplace. And I've got a fantastic team of ladies who are really independent business people operating under that roof.
Right.
So
it's funny. I just talked to one of your Broadway neighbors yesterday. Was on the show, Sage from Funky Planet.
Yes.
And she's a transplant too. They're originally from Minnesota. And I asked her, and I'll ask you the same question of just aside from the house, what were some things about the Alton area that really drew you to it as a place that you guys wanted to put roots down?
Right. Well, obviously the river. I mean, it's just the river can't be denied. It's just, it gives you a feeling. And I think that's when we see customers coming over from St. Louis and St. Charles to visit Alton and day trips, that's what attracts them. It's just not just the natural setting, but the feeling you get when you cross over that bridge.
Right.
It didn't take long. We started to understand the history here the not just the historic events that happened here, but the buildings and the rich kind of mix of key events in history. But also you can see the incredible potential that this region has.
Right.
When I will tell people that we live in Illinois, people think Midwest, and that the Midwest farmland is here.
Sure.
It's just 20 minutes and you've got that wonderful produce, a beautiful farmer's market downtown.
Right.
But it is unique in that the river culture is here in this space. And it's also got a metropolitan influence. St. Louis is just over the river.
Right.
And so it's a very unique area to live in. We live in a lot of different places, but it's very unique in that way. The big city that feels like a little town.
Right.
Like that.
I really love guests talking about that, especially guests that are not from the area, because if you're a quote-unquote county like me, when you've been here forever, it's tougher to sometimes take a step back and realize, wow, what a great area we have in terms of all the things you just said. And I think, that's one thing that I hope comes out of this show is just some pride, I guess, in the area that we do live in, and just recognition of, well, there's really a lot going here.
There is
a lot going for this area.
There is. And now not only owning property in Middletown, but also, I'm all in now downtown.
Right, yes.
I'm invested more than ever in seeing our city thrive.
Right.
And I think for a lot of people, it can't come quickly enough.
Right.
But it's going to take time to do that. We're not, to me, I think of it like we're not in a speedboat. Speedboat, you can turn on a dime, but we're in a cruise ship. This is a city we're talking about. And it's taken decades to get to where we are, and it'll take more time to turn.
And I think, as business owners, entrepreneurs, a lot of times, whether it's in our business or for our community, we're looking for like the home run, like what's, and there probably isn't one. Usually it's more of a series of little steps,
right?
Done consistently that lead to the success that we're all hoping for.
Right.
Instead of, we need, this big thing or that big. It's a bunch of little things that add up to, community improvement or business improvement.
For sure. And it, if I'm honest, it did feel risky to set up shop downtown because it's still mixed.
Right.
Occupied buildings, not occupied buildings. But, it's an act of faith, and you sort of create what you want it to be in a small way. And the encouraging thing is there's so many other people who are doing the same thing, opening up shop downtown by choice. And not only that, but since opening, I understand more than ever, there's a loyal local customer base.
Right.
Yes, we benefit from the riverboat tourists. Yes, we benefit from day trippers coming through on up to Grafton for eel watching and Pear Marquette and all the good things up there. But this loyal local customer base is so important. And there are people who want, with their dollars, to invest in the improvement of downtown that way.
You mentioned opening up. Talk about the emotions and the experience of that first week opening the new place.
Well, it had taken a good year of preparation. We had one building downtown that fell through, and then this was our second location, and a good deal of perseverance, as any new business will experience. But that just made the opening even sweeter.
Right.
That all of the lead up and all of the preparation, the publicity and all of that. It was overwhelming at the grand opening. Just the shop was packed, and people started to kind of catch the vision for what we were trying to create there. So encouraging and gracious with their compliments. So,
right.
So it really started at a boil, and then we saw it come down to a simmer. And now I'm seeing just steady kind of week by week growth and just gathering data about, how we're doing and wanting to see that growth and progression. also layering on top of that the retail cycle, where typically summer months are not strong months retail wise.
Right.
But as we get into fall and winter,
Sure.
there will be an uptick there. But we have the benefit downtown of, as I've said, the tourist influence that kind of sustains things in the summer. And grateful for that. And then, of course, eagle watching in the winter. There's continues to be visitors even January, February through that season.
Sure.
So it's a kind of a unique location in that way too.
Absolutely. What are some things you've learned along the journey here of first opening up to today?
Well, I think as a small business owner, we have to wear a lot of hats. And
Right.
some come naturally.
That reminds me to take the trash out.
Right. Some come very naturally. I have a lot of confidence in certain aspects
Right.
of the business. There's others that are totally brand new, totally outside of my comfort zone.
Right.
Like marketing and accounting and the legal, but you come up that learning curve. You reach out to people who can help you.
Right.
One of the things that I did in that year of preparation was reached out to the Small Business Development Center at SIUE.
Mm-hmm.
And
A resource I don't think enough
Oh.
to take advantage
it was tremendously helpful. The vast majority of the services they provide are free. Classes that are offered, everything from start a small business, just what does it take to get registered, to getting QuickBooks and your accounting set up.
Right.
And then I had the opportunity to participate in the small business startup competition that they sponsor.
Oh.
It's the small business startup for the Metro East.
Mm-hmm.
And had the opportunity to really get serious about a business plan, get my financial spreadsheets together,
Right.
participating in a series of pitches before judges, as if I were pitching for loans,
Kind of like Shark Tank.
a bit, very much like Shark Tank. And rub elbows with others who were starting businesses and kind of at similar stages in development or growth. And that was wonderful preparation.
Sure.
It kind of, it forced me to think through, what is my message?
Right.
What is my competitive advantage? What is the business landscape? Who can I collaborate with? Who I compete with? And to really think through all of that. That was wonderful preparation.
What is the competitive advantage? You mentioned that.
Well, from the start, I wanted to do antiques and vintage. I wanted to keep that as the identity, but I wanted to do it in a bit of a modern way if I could.
Right.
And for me, that means mixing. So we have, as I said, a mix of vintage and antiques together with new resale. And to me, that's how I decorate my home. I have some key pieces that are the true antiques,
Right.
but I want the modern lamps and I want the modern pillows and things to kind of make it look current. And so that's what we do in the shop. We provide that kind of variety. And that's a little bit different than often antiques and vintages run. The other thing that to me that I wanted to do is to create a modern shopping experience. So certainly a beautiful backdrop helps with that,
Right.
but contemporary music and barcoded items so that checkout is fast, all forms of payment. Just thinking through from a customer perspective, what does one experience in a boutique, say,
Right.
in a high-end shop, and see if we can't lay that on top of a antiques and vintage segment of the market. The other thing that was important to me is to kind of bring the age demographic down, to really generate interest or at least welcome the younger crowd. And part of that is I realizing that vintage clothing is hot, and also mid-century is very strong right now among young people.
Interesting.
So, it's a thrill to me to see the variety of people walking through the door, and each person kind of might gravitate to certain areas of the shop and repeat, a visit to those areas. And to the point where I even see mothers and daughters shopping together. There's something for everybody to see. And
That's got to be a good feeling.
It was, wonderful. But part of that is being intentional about who I invited to the shop and achieving the mix that would really attract a whole variety of people.
Right. So you're running a business. You've got an 8-year-old. What's your daily routine like?
Well, actually, I have 6 children. So the little one is 8. The oldest.
I felt hungry. We have 4.
Yeah. Once you reach 4, you're abandoned to it. That one's a couple more. Daily routine. As I said, I was stay-at-home mom for 25 years, and homeschooled for 15. Right. So really, I was full-time. It was an occupation for me. And still is first priority, of course.
Sure.
But roles have reversed a little bit in my household. My husband retired from the Air Force a couple of summers ago, took another career, worked for a tech company for a couple of years, and only recently, since the opening of the shop, decided, hey, it's time to retire. And he now saved again, for real this time. And he's able to support me better at the shop.
Sure. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. It's wonderful. But now he is filling in all the gaps. That it's a strange reversal of roles, but also so gratifying for me. Yeah.
What do you see in the next 2 to 3 years for the store?
Well, I want to continue to get to know our customers, really listen and try to look ahead to what might be the next thing people are interested in. Try to stay ahead of that in terms of curating merchandise,
right?
And improving. We have some good processes in place, but I think there's refining always that can be done just to make that customer experience better, to make the internal workings of business better. So for sure, growing. We can't grow in square footage, but we can definitely grow in foot traffic.
Sure.
So I would love to see that as word continues to get out. The other thing is we have an e-commerce website in place.
Great.
So as things become more stable at the shop, if I'm able to schedule myself away from the shop more than I am now,
right.
Then I'll be able to not just focus on business development, but also focus on my e-commerce component. And
sure.
Currently, we get the odd order here and there from around the United States.
Always nice when the cash register rings.
Every now and then, oh, what's this? Which is fun, but there's much to do in that arena.
Right.
And I knew I wanted that from the beginning. I wanted a point of sale that would work in person, but also an e-commerce component that would talk to each other.
Right.
So that even our local customers can sit at their desk at home or on the couch and order things and then pick them up the next day in store, or order something that could be shipped to somebody. So that capability is there now. But to really invest in that part, start to put marketing dollars toward that and see if we can get a little more going on the e-commerce side.
Awesome. Well, sounds like it's been a great journey so far. Congratulations on that success. Great getting to know you a little bit better. Really excited about what the future holds for you. If people want to find out more about Honeybee Vintage, how can they do that?
Well, we are at honeybeevintagealton.com. We're on all social platforms. So you can Google it. So yes, to get directions.
And the hours for the shop?
Yeah, Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5.
Right.
Sunday, 12 to 5. Okay. So we're hoping
7 days a week?
7 days. We're hoping we can sustain that. I've got a good group of gals to help me do that.
Great. Well, Melissa, thanks so much for coming on the show. Best of luck to you in the future. We'll definitely have to do this again. Get even more detail.
I would love it.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.